Hello, everybody. This is Zero to Hero, where everyday Canadians are getting ahead with real estate. This is the show where we dive into the success stories of several real world investors. We dive into the strategies that help take their business to the next level. You get to know the who, learn the how to get what you need to succeed. Today, I am chatting with the lovely Catherine O'Neill. Listen, she is a chemical engineer with over 30 years experience working at Procter Gamble. She has 3 properties and counting and has private lending experience. And when I say really, she really loves traveling. And although it's been pretty difficult in these past few months and years, she will definitely be doing much more traveling and with real estate funding her trips. Catherine, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Daniel. How are you doing?
Man, I'm fantastic because we're having a great conversation. Listen, it's going to be 10 questions about you, looking to see where you came from, where you are now, and where you're looking to be to really inspire others to do the same in their own way. So are you ready to go?
Yes, I am.
All right, I'm going to shoot you with question number 1, okay? So question number 1 is this. Why did you get into real estate?
Well, I never expected to get into real estate. People who know me are really surprised I got into real estate, but it really came about because I was having lunch after I left Procter & Gamble with my old boss. And she's from Burlington. We're very similar. And she began to say, well, her 5 investment properties. And I went like, what? You have investment properties? You can do that? Like, I thought only rich people had investment properties. And when I discovered that she had some, then I began to ask other people, physiotherapists, massage therapists, and they all have rental properties as well. And I began to realize how normal it was. And I thought, well, gee, that sounds pretty cool. Sounds like fun. Why not me? And so I got into it with 3 rentals in Guelph and then evolved over time. So that was my start.
Man, I actually got to say that's very similar to me, where not necessarily with people I knew, whether professionally or locally, but I always realized that the celebrities and people who have real wealth, like they always have some form of real estate in their asset portfolio. So whether they were rich from movies or from sports or from business, they would always buy real estate and have that in their portfolio. So I was like, man, if every single one of these people, even though they don't know each other, they all have this in common, there's got to be something about real estate and something I don't know. And so that's really cool. All right, question number 2. What were you doing before you got started in real estate? I know that I kind of mentioned that you were working at Procter & Gamble. Maybe give us a little more of a glimpse of what it looked like before you had your eyes opened to real estate.
Well, I had moved around as a kid because my dad was a chemical engineer. And so we moved, we were in Halifax and in Vancouver and Toronto. I worked in the summer for Calgary. Then I started as a chemical engineer at Procter & Gamble, always a slightly different path. When I went to school, only about 15% of the class were women. And then, going into the product development department, again, a very small group were women. And so, I basically have always been, I don't know, pioneer is too strong, but, had to have been comfortable being, with other groups of people and types of people and sort of charting a new path. So I did that for about 30 years. And then I had an opportunity to be able to leave. And I thought I would do consulting. I was so sure that I would do research consulting. I did a couple of projects. And then when I heard about real estate, I began to think, no, this is more intriguing. And so gave up what I'd been doing for such a long time and tried something new. I learned, you can reinvent yourself after 50. It's not, you don't have to be stuck. You can actually find a new path. And I found a new path, which is cool. And I'm really liking.
That is awesome. And it's so encouraging. I really hope people that are in the same stage as you are inspired by that, because I don't know much about it, but I know this midlife crisis is a real thing. And I hope that they are encouraged by hearing that. Listen, I think I'm starting to get why you really enjoy this traveling thing. You were coast to coast in Canada, from Halifax to Vancouver. Wow, that is amazing. Now, but even though I know that now, Catherine, tell us something most people don't know about you.
Well, they might not know, when in the realm of real estate, there are all kinds of different strategies you can have. And one that I heard about early on that I just really was enamored with were student rentals. And I think it's because I've got kids who are university aged. I know that age. I like the kids. The kids are great. They're honest. They're a little clueless, but they're really great. And so, yeah, you may not know that I have a real affinity for student rentals and that age of kids. So that's something you may not know about me.
Hey, that is actually really cool because you know what? I know that many people talk about the opportunities for profiting and cash flowing with student rentals is amazing, but sometimes dealing with those headaches can come with it. But it's really cool to be able to see that someone has it actually goes beyond the real estate and seeing as to why you'd want to service that market in particular. That's actually really, really cool. Okay. All right. So you're into real estate, you're doing deals, you're making things happen, you're doing lending deals, right? Tell us of a mistake that you've made in real estate that you wouldn't want your closest loved one to have to do.
Well, there are so many because I remember it was Mark Smith who said at one point, if you don't make mistakes, you're not reaching far enough, you're not aiming high enough. But I think I was feeling down at one point, and because I had invested in a contractor to be able to do the extensive renovation for one of my properties in Windsor. And I had done everything I thought I could. I had a contract. I had worked out the timeline. I had verified the materials. I had worked so hard because I'd heard there were issues with him. So I tried to protect myself. But despite that, just about the time, and it was taken forever. It was, and suddenly then I met one of his people for lunch because something had happened at the property. And I asked her how things were going, and she said, "Oh, not very well." And I said, "Oh, that's not usually what you hear." And she said, "Well, we're kind of dissolving. We're kind of going bankrupt. We're kind of doing whatever." And so my $40,000 deposit
Oh no.
disappeared with that contractor.
No.
Yes, indeed. And it's not all dark because if it hadn't been for that, it was like shortly thereafter that I discovered Cashflow Tribe. And if I had been going down a different path, if that had been successful, I don't think I would have been open to looking at something different.
Wow.
So I say to myself, yeah, that was a problem, but you know what happened? Like a door opened somewhere else. So,
wow. I love that perspective. And I definitely share within that line of thinking because I can isolate myself and focus on the one or two things that went really, really bad, but then also take into account that, man, if this and with a combination of a few other things didn't happen, I also wouldn't be where I am in also the greatest sense. And so you definitely make a really good point there. And I really appreciate you sharing that. So we all make mistakes, but I'm sure if we ask anybody, we all want to get ahead. We all want to accomplish our goals, some bigger, some smaller, but we all want to get to where we got to go. You decided that you would join council as a means to accomplish this. So talk to me as why you joined council and what is the biggest thing that you've been able to get as a result of that mentorship?
First off, if you had asked me before, I would have said, no way, no how. I would never have done this. The idea of paying for something that you might be able to learn yourself, the idea of, paying for a mentorship, no, just wasn't me. But when I started going to the Cashflow Tribe training, every single one exceeded my expectations. And so then I went to the next one, and that exceeded my expectations. And then I went to the next one. And so by the time I got to thinking about council, besides the fact that everything was so good, right? Like I kept thinking, if this is what they're giving away practically for free, like what do you have to pay for, right? Like, oh my goodness. But also it was an exercise that Mark Smith had done. He started off with like this long ribbon and he's like, okay,
Yes.
so, find out, cut off where you are in your life. If you're going to live to 90 or 100, cut off where you've got to, cut off a third because you're going to sleep, cut off a little
That's
bit
right.
more. And most of the people out there are like, they've got a ribbon, it's this long, and they're looking at it. Mine, Daniel, was a pigtail. It was about this long. And I thought, I can either go slowly and do it myself and make mistakes and learn, or I can pay for someone to be able to accelerate me, to be able to get the benefit of what they've learned and move along faster. And as I said, between how great it was and this, decided to join council. And I've been so pleased with everything. I thought it was just going to be real estate, more real estate strategies. What really surprised me is the focus on the focus on mindset and building a positive and a resilient mindset. And then the other one is business building. I mean, I was in business for 30 years. I knew it, but it's different when you actually have to do it yourself and when you're using some more modern tools. So I'm just, it's just amazing. And I am continuing every month afterwards because it's just so great.
Wow, that is phenomenal. You know what? I really love that you really dug deep into why you decided to get that mentorship, because in reality, even though you say that you don't have a lot of time, the truth is we all don't have enough time because it's the only thing that we can't get more of. And so it really does come down to how are we making the best use of our time? And by you taking that plunge and getting the ROI that you are looking for has been amazing. So tell us about a breakdown of your favorite deal. All right. So at this point, we talked about a big mistake, and that also could be a blessing in disguise. But now let's talk about a deal you want to celebrate. What is that mountaintop experience in real estate for you so far?
Well, actually, it's going to be the same one because I got this really great bones of a building, but really sadly deteriorated building. It's a fiveplex. I ended up buying it. I bought it off market, which was something I learned you could do. I did an extensive renovation. And because it's a fiveplex, it's 5 washers and 5 dryers and 5 furnaces and 5 air conditioners. So it was really expensive. And because we went right down to the studs, it was
Wow.
it was a wow. But I was even amazed when I did a presentation on burring, and I was talking about burring this property, what it looked like before, a really tired, basic, boring, you wouldn't want anyone that you ever knew to be able to live there, to something it's just gorgeous. Like, it's just gorgeous. And
Wow.
and the amazing thing, despite the fact that the renovation was as expensive as it was, as I explained, it's going to cash flow really well because it's a fiveplex. And because I elected to put in premium, a premium finish, because I wanted to have a premium tenant who would be paying a premium rent. And that's what I'm going for. You need to have your strategy. You need to know who it is that you are seeking to be able to serve. And I learned through Procter Gamble that I wanted sort of like a high-end type tenant and experience. You can be low end too, where you don't want to be as the middle, because then you're neither low nor high, and that's a bad place to be from a marketing standpoint. So that is my best deal, and I am really thrilled that I had an opportunity to be able to do it, and I learned so much.
That is amazing, because you have to understand, when you are putting in the time, the energy, and the effort to really bring an investment to its highest and best use and actually see that accomplished, it's one of the best feelings, especially because you've gone through quite the roller coaster where you got it down to the studs. It's extremely expensive, but you made a really good point. You get what you pay for. And in this case, you paid for a really good deal. You paid for the right finishes so you can get the right return. And so that is amazing. Awesome. So Catherine, all right, we're coming down to the wire here. And with what you know now, say everything you know right up into this moment, how would you start over if you had the exact same resources that you had when you first started? So go back to when you first started, but now you know everything you know today.
Well, I guess for me, in some ways, I couldn't do anything differently because I had to learn myself, and it's a process, and I hadn't appreciated how much your mindset plays into things. And I had more of a scarcity mindset than I ever would have appreciated. Because I'm a positive person, I always look for creative and positive solutions. I thought I was very positive, but then as you talk to people, I was not abundant, right? Oh, keep it to yourself, oh, you're my competitor, et cetera. Now it's like, oh, there's enough glory for us all. We can, we all can share and learn together. But I think even though Cash Flow Tribe had not existed at that point, finding a group where you can learn and get mentored and really be around people who are doing the same types of things that you need to do, that would be something I would try and find faster. I didn't know that I needed that and what the benefit was. Some things didn't exist maybe when I started, but since they do now, that's what, if I could wave a magic wand, that's what I'd be doing faster and earlier, is finding a group that works for me and being part of that group and learning and contributing back to that group.
Amazing. The mindset is such an important aspect. I'll be the first one to confess that I thought it was just a whole heap of nonsense. Oh, it's just a filler. It's not the real meat and potatoes. When the reality is, as you think is so as you'll act. And if you don't believe that you can do it, you're not going to go out and do it as if you can. And so I think that's a really, really great point, that right there. All right. So fast forward 5 years now. All right. We're in 2026. Where is Catherine O'Neill?
So I like what I'm doing. I want to keep doing what I'm doing. I don't have any interest in retiring per se, because if you can do what you like doing in a short enough period of time during the week, why wouldn't you just continue on? So what will I be doing? I have learned, as I've been thinking about things, as I've been listening to counsel, I will be in January, February in Florida, living at a beautiful place and doing work about 20 hours a week. I will then come home to my house and do work about 20 hours a week. And this is both joint venturing with people, helping people at that point, especially be able to put deals together and private lending to people. And then a month out of the year, I'm going to be traveling like first class to fabulous places, the Ice Hotel and St. Petersburg, and really want to go to Australia and New Zealand. So we'll be doing that for a month. And even then, I'm seeing myself on days when there aren't activities, I am going to be continuing to manage deals remotely. I think it is so cool that one of the things the pandemic has taught us is you can work remotely wherever you are. So I'm going to take advantage of that. I'm going to be that person. That's
you know
where
what?
I'm going to be.
I believe you. And here's the reason why. As you were describing that, I'm paying attention to your enthusiasm, I can see you painting the picture in your mind. I can see that you're visualizing yourself there, that you're doing the business part-time, that you're in Florida for part of the year, that you're doing all these amazing things. And this is actually one of my favorite questions to ask, because there are beginners who are listening to you right now and are just starting on their own journey. And they can, just like me, are super inspired by what you're saying. So with them being beginners and just starting out, what are the first 3 practical things that you would say to those people that they should do this week?
If you haven't read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, because that changed the whole direction of real estate I was in. I bought my first 3 properties like I bought my house, for appreciation, no cash flow because I hadn't heard about it. And I bought it 100% out, no mortgage, and then realized those were the wrong strategies and changed. So that would be one thing. As I said, getting connected up with a group so that you can gather information more quickly, learn more quickly. And then, if you can find yourself a mentor, somebody who's somewhat ahead of you that you can buy into, because there's no free lunch. I used to think that was the case, cut your own grass, paint your own this, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when you pay somebody, there's an accountability. And I didn't realize that point. I listened to someone that Ben had interviewed, and she said, when you get things for free, people do it when they have a chance. They don't really feel accountable. If it doesn't work out, well, that's okay because it was free. But when you're paying somebody, they are accountable and they will work very hard to make sure you have what you need to have. And so I would do that. I would want someone who cared about my success and was partnering with me to be able to get there.
That is golden advice. I really, really hope that people are paying attention, guys. It's so imperative that you understand, if you want to get to somewhere in the likes of Catherine O'Neill, you got to get educated, get involved into a community, and understand the value of your time in relation to money. If you can put your money to work rather than doing everything that's free, you are setting yourself in position to do more and things that can produce more value. And so that's really awesome. We're going to round it out here, Catherine. Where can people connect with you? Say they want to really just engage with you or even just follow you on your journey. Is there a way that people can connect with you?
So I've moved to most of my posts on Instagram. So I'm Catherine O'Neill 416. I was going to be 905, but it was already taken. So I am 416. Okay. And so that's one way. I've got a business page, also Catherine O'Neill, on Facebook. So they can follow there, but those are awfully similar. And then maybe, I don't know if you can post my email address because I love my email. People can email me as well.
Awesome. We will definitely get that information out to everybody. Thank you so much, Catherine, for this value that I've been able to present. And ladies and gentlemen, please rewatch this. There was a lot that was mentioned in this conversation, even things that I'm going to be applying my personal self. And so, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Zero to Hero. I hope you took something out of it. Be sure to take action so that you can get results, just like our guests that you've listened to today. Stay tuned for the next episodes, and we'll see you on the next one.